Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Mishmash Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. We got a little bit of a heat wave going on here. It was like 86 degrees last night at 2 a.m. So, you know, it's hot during the day. It's really crazy. One thing I want to ask a favor of you, if you're not already doing it like I do, is to make sure there's water outside for the stray animals that might stumble by your home or whatever. I always have 4 or 5 small containers of water out there that I change every day, and also the bird bath. You know, it's really important for the creatures that you don't think about too often, but even if they can't get a lot of food, they need water, and if it doesn't rain or you're getting a real hot spell, it really helps them out. So if you can, do that for all of us. And we got a few things to get to, so let's get right to it right now. Okay, first up, the other day I looked in the mail. I got a little package in the mail from my buddy 357 Magdad, and I opened it up and I saw Magdad included a nice little letter. This here was part of some tools that one of our community, one of our subscribers, Jack Skeans from Illinois, he passed away just, I guess a few months ago, early this year. Jack was a, woodworker, tool restorer and everything. And I guess he enjoyed the video. So Jack's wife, Lauralee, sent a few tools to 357 Magdad and asked if, he could send a couple my way, whatever. So Jack had to be part of our community. I tell you the truth, I hate when we lose one of our community. I still think about guys that, if their wives send me stuff or something. It means a lot to me, and I really do miss these people, believe it or not. I think about them all the time. It's funny how you can miss people that you've sometimes never even met, I mean, my buddy Joe from Joe's Shop, I still miss his father. Never met the man. I still miss him. Every couple days I think about it. He pops in my head. It's strange how that works, but we have some great tools that 357 Magdad sent over that, we're going to do a nice job on here. We have a nice little saber. These were from Japan. I did another saber knife. These were quality knives, really nice. You can see, I love when the brass pins are worn. You could tell that this was like used. It's just a nice little knife, and we got a nice pair of clouse that we have to make a bolt for. But what I wanted to work on today was this. You can see here, it says Abington, and this is one of those, obviously bicycle wrenches with the, the screw. So, the spring that I'm not so crazy about, but you can see here, it's got a few things we have to work on. What do you say we try and do this as a tribute wrench to Jack? Because I'm sure he would really enjoy seeing that done. So let's take it over the top for Jack and take a look at the condition this is in. You can see our biggest problem is going to get that to line up correctly. So let's work on this today and have some fun. Now, one thing I was never really crazy about some of the British or King Dick or things like that wrenches that they have, they put this spring, okay, and it's like an overly heavy spring, and it just makes this so much. You really got to press in here, and if your hands are greasy or something like that, Billings always had the one you could spin it. It's so easy to open and close, but they always put this heavy spring in. I'll show you what it looks like every time I do one of these wrenches. I kind of take this spring and replace it for a spacer. But let me show you what the spring looks like. There it is. It's like a kind of a leaf, a flat spring, but very strong. And it just makes it that much harder to open and close. I was really never a fan. However, you can see here the wrench. You could see now what we have is usually it's not the bottom that's messed up. Usually, you could see here this is kind of level straight across. It's usually the top. This is your weak spot here. Apparently, this was bent back a little bit and opened up. And also, if you look, it's bent a little to the right. You see that? So what do you say we just straighten these out real quick? You don't have to do anything on the dake. We'll take it and we'll put it in the vise because you're going to hold it here, bend it this way, and bend it this way. Now, to bend this side to side is very easy. We're going to put it in the vise, and now we're going to put a larger king dick wrench on there. Grab the shaft and just pull down a little bit till we straighten that out. Just go a little bit at a time. Keep an eye on it, and if you have to go a little more, just put it back in the vise. Easiest part is this way to straighten it out. Okay, now our second bend, you could see here, it's opened up here, and you could see if we hold we have a square here. If we hold it up here, we could see where that bend. You see that? That should be level, at a 90-degree angle here. Now, we don't know where it's bent. Is it bent at the top head here? We don't. So what you do is you take your straight edge and you have a white background and you hold it over here. And if you look, you see that gap there? There's that gap, that thin gap. And if you turn it around this way, you'll see that it's touching in the middle and there's a gap towards the end. So you could see that even though we can't see it by the naked eye, there's a slight bend here. So you don't want to put this in a vise here and bend it here, because here's where the bend is. So you have to put it in the vise because we got to bend it back in this area here, and that'll bring this down. Okay, now we've determined that a lot of the bend is around here, over here, and this has to come down this way, okay? It has to come down a little bit. So now we have it in the vise here because we know this bottom part is straight. We don't want to mess with that. So that's tight in the vise, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to somehow bend this down. Now, believe it or not, you could tap it with a hammer or something. I'm not big on tapping it because you can always go past or whatever. What I'm going to use here is a pipe wrench, okay? And the reason I'm going to use a pipe wrench, you can see the teeth here. We're going to put the teeth behind, okay? Let me open this up a little bit. We're going to put the teeth behind the back here and the front here. And here we go. Just like that, okay? Now we'll tighten that up. And now, watch what happens when I add a little force. I got a big, this is a 18-inch pipe wrench. Watch how quickly I can bend that down. See the force I'm putting on there? 1, 2, 3. Bob's your uncle. Okay, here we go. Now, don't be afraid to put a little pressure on here. Remember, you're cold bending it, so you don't have to worry about going to, but you can see here we got this lined up nicely there. Over here, the jaws are straight now. That's just what you want. Now we can go to the grind part. We don't have a lot of pitting to take out of here. It looks like Jack might have worked on this a little bit before. So now what we're going to do, I don't care about the name because we're going to do something special on this. So let's get this real nice. Take out all the edges. Make it nice. Okay, so we got that. That's the hard part. So don't be afraid to bend these using bigger tools. Now, it's always important to check your progress, make sure that you're not moving any edges, and overlook the wrench. And you can see here on the back, it looks like at one time somebody was tapping on this wrench. And the easiest way to get out these deep dings is to use the flap sander. Okay, this is just after the flap sander. You could see there's some unevenness with the way the flap hits or whatever, but that's fine because we're going to get that out when we hit the belt sander. You see, we just want to get all them dings and dents out. Now we can get all this and smooth it out with the belt sander. You can see where it is. It looks very rough. You would never want this, but you notice how sharp the edges are too. You know, you can see the edges are very sharp. We're gonna soften all those out too. So it looks a little rough like this, and a lot of times you'll see people selling wrenches like this where they made an attempt to restore it, and now's when you have to do the finishing part. Here we are after the belt sander, and you can see now how that blended everything in. Now we just have one more thing, the fiber wheel. That'll really blend in everything. But you see, we beveled all the edges and everything, and we got everything straightened out. Okay, now we're just that'll just give it a nice satin finish, take away some of this kind of cheesy shine to it. So let's get to that. Now this is something my regular, wait a minute. I mean, you know, that's just feels, and it is just so beautiful now in the hand, you know. Now we have to do this justice by getting rid of this horrid leaf spring that I hate and putting in a Delrin washer in there. We'll make one on the lathe. Let's do that now. Okay, now there's no stress whatsoever on this washer. It's just a spacer, but it has to be correctly made because it has to fit into the barrel nut and not be able to move around, and also have enough space that it takes up that area that's underneath the nut. Okay, here we are in the attic. You know what that means. Whenever we come in the attic, we're going to do some engraving, right? Let's get to it. Okay, so here's the setup here. We're going to put his name here, and you can see I marked out all the visible spot of that area. See with that marker here? Let me show you right there. And now we're going to put his name in and trace it out. Hey, here's something. Look at this. Radioactive, huh? A Geiger counter. Look at that. What the heck? Is that radioactive? No! You know, while we're up here real quick, I'd like to show you this awesome bayonet. You know, this is Swiss made, and Swiss, they just made things so much better than everybody else, you know. I know Germans came close second, and, you know, there were other, but the Swiss were just above and beyond. And look at this. Look at the beautiful frog. This is called a frog that holds the bayonet case. The actual sheath is held by a frog, so you could replace this instead of having to replace the whole thing. Great design. The actual sheath is a hard sheath, you know, so it wouldn't hold water like leather would and rust the blade. And now there's still like cosmoline on here and stuff, but look at this here. You can see the marking here. I don't know if you could see that, but just look at this. Now they don't come you know, sharp. I mean, it's sharp enough, but they don't come sharp where you're going to shave with it. But just look at the beautiful workmanship and grind and everything on. Look at the tip of that grind. Can you see that? Am I getting that on there? That's just what a beautiful piece of work, huh? And you know, again, Swiss made. You don't usually see too many of these around anymore, although years ago they were pretty cheap, so I picked up a bunch because I just thought they were just so fantastic. Thought you enjoyed that. Okay, extra points if you remember what this is. Oh yeah. You guys remember that, right? That was always, when you saw that, when you came into classroom, you were like, yes, yes. Hello? Hey, Scott, how are you? Okay, you know my favorite part. Remember what Jack's wrench looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. You could see here what we did. Okay, made this really into a really user-friendly wrench. I'm sure Jack would have liked that. And put his name on here, Skeans, you could see here. And now this wrench will be a tribute to him wherever it goes. You could see here how now it's all closes up nice, and all the edges, you could see every edge is beveled. When you put this in your hand, it is the smoothest, most wonderful wrench to hold. And you know, and then we finish it up. We didn't do a mirror finish, but you could see it's acceptable. Nice brush finish. You won't pick up the fingerprints too much. And now you can see how we have the jaws that close. That was important here. You can see now we can close the jaws, and you can see here it will, you know, close level. And it also works very good. Let's give it a little test. Okay, we have our little wrench tester here, so we'll open it up here and then just come down. And now you can see how easily this engages and gets onto the nut. You need to have a certain amount of slop with these wrenches for them to operate correctly. And you can see how nicely this will work. And then, you know, because you have it parallel, it will lock up with the hex and not lock up so it can't come off. You know, that's important. Once this is tight, it has to be able to slip off. And that's why if the jaws aren't correctly aligned, when you try and put this on or off a nut, you're going to have a little difficulty, you know, getting it on or off. So it's imperative to get these parallel. And so we have a nice little project here today. And again, a tribute to Jack Skeans. And I think he would get a real kick out of this. This was a lot of fun. Want to thank Lori for sending this over, and 357 Magdad for thinking about me on this one. Okay, so in closing, we had a heck of a mosh today. We covered a lot of stuff, and I really appreciate you tuning in. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again on Wednesday. Take care now. Bye-bye.